This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
You spent an entire career saving for retirement, and you know what? The last thing you need at this stage is to make a misstep that ends up spending down your savings too quickly. Well, how can you make sure that you've done enough? Today, Scott's going to share with you some simple ways to help you maximize your retirement income, help make the most out of your retirement by taking these strategic but simple steps. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. Scott, an important topic here today.
It is, Alex. It's a big topic, and actually, I don't know how simple it is, as you said, as you opened up, because retirement, Alex, isn't simple. It's almost like I want to be in the Olympics, but I have to do a heck of a lot of warm-ups and practices starting at age 5 or 6 years old, and I finally make it to I'm 16, 17, 18. So, Alex, retirement's almost the same thing. You have years of time of planning for retirement, but there's so many bumps and bruises and joys along the way. So I want to let people know right now as we talk about it is, of course, retirement isn't easy. And so thanks for joining us today. This is Scott McLean and Alex. We talk about your retirement. Alex, what do you got for me? What's going on, big dog?
Yeah, Scott. Well, I don't want people to feel bad. And here's some information that kind of just lets you know if this is resonating for you that you're not alone. Because projections from the Employee Benefit Research Institute show that 40% of households where the head of the household is between 35 years old and 64 are projected to run short of money in retirement. So not quite half, but pretty darn close. Scott, how concerned should pre-retirees be about running out of money?
Well, number one, living in fear is not good, but planning is important. So I think, Alex, what you're saying is, people are not saving as much, and now we're facing a lot of economic challenges right now. Not only to have the Democrats fighting the Republicans, we've got the inflation, we've got gas prices, as we spoke about at the beginning of the show. Things are changing. Some people aren't as saving as much because they're digging into their wallet. But again, that report, you said 40% of households, while the head of households between 35 and 64 are projected to run out of money. Yeah, are they focusing on saving? As I tell my kids as they're growing up, do today what others won't do, so you'll have tomorrow what others won't have. What is that? Sacrificing and savings, putting money away. And again, putting money away in the right coffers so you don't have to worry. Now, it's so funny you talk about this as we talk about today. I just had a lovely couple come in. We actually are planning 8 months out, and they said, Scott, we just applied for Social Security. I said, wow, congratulations. Let me see your numbers. Let's see if we're on pace. And they are on pace, thank goodness, for Social Security. And his wife is on Social Security disability. So that's a big help. The question comes out when they pull money out of their investments, how do they pull it out? And can they keep up with inflation? So that's been a big, big discussion. The good news for those of you listening, if you're planning and going into retirement, the most important thing and mistakes I've noticed and I've noticed in my practice for many, many years is waiting to the last minute to talk to your advisor or at least talk to somebody. Or for those do-it-yourselfers out there, they try to do it themselves, but there's so many legs on a stool. Let's say there's 3-legged stool, your pension, your Social Security, and of course your own savings. If you're not paying attention to that stool will collapse. And I don't think anybody wants that to happen, especially with price of food and shelter and gas going up.
Well, and Scott, people are probably thinking too, like 40%, man, how is that so high? But There's a lot of factors involved. I mean, there's a lot of reasons that cause people to spend down their savings faster than they anticipated.
That's for sure. Some of the factors which we don't want to factor in, if you've been working your whole life, you and your spouse, or by yourself, you don't ever think about being sick. I think that's a big deal. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen
Sick-
to all of us.
It's going to happen, and we don't want it to happen. So I call that the big denial. I know when I had one of my illnesses and I was in denial. I don't have it. I'm fine. I'm good. It's 2012. I was getting ready for a marathon, and we were going to Hawaii, my daughter and I, and the wheels fell off, and found out I had a rheumatoid arthritis, and it kicked in big time. And I hear I'm a tough guy, or I should say, I thought I was, until the wheels started falling off. And of course, now you're on medications. Now, notwithstanding, still have to work out, still stay in shape. The number one thing on people when they go into retirement, one thing they should be thinking about is, am I staying in shape? Am I eating correctly? I know it's basic, and you guys listening right now, you're probably, this guy's preaching at me. I'm not preaching at you. I'm talking to myself. And you look yourself in the mirror, it's like, oh my goodness, I better lose a little bit of poundage, because that's going to raise up the issues of health issues. The next one, Alex, I think is, my daughter and wife were coming back from Ocala from competing down there at the World Equestrian Center. And I don't know if you saw the pictures, Alex, but a tire came across the road from an SUV, crashed into the I have a 3500 dually Ram, ripped off the roof of the car. And you'll look at it. Thank God the angels pushed the tire away from my daughter as she was driving, and the wheel bent backwards. But we don't plan for accidents. And that's just another left hook comes out of the, I don't know where it comes from, but it just comes out there, and we got to deal with it. And that, which leads into our being disabled. So the long-term care issues, the death of a loving spouse. We just did a title transfer, and we actually opened up a irrevocable trust to hide assets so the nursing homes wouldn't grab the money from the client. And when we were doing the planning process, everything was beautiful. I get a call just yesterday afternoon that the spouse passed away. So what's up? You're messing the whole game plan up. What are you doing dying? These are lovely clients of ours, and for years. But after we set everything up perfectly, he passed away from a brain hemorrhage. It's like, oh my gosh. So we don't know when these, as you say, these factors, I call it the unexpected Muhammad Ali uppercut, comes into your life, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, you are taken down. Or I think about, on top of that, I have children, as many people know. I've been doing this radio show now since it's almost 12, 13 years. I got a bunch of kids, and one of the issues is, and I notice this on several different families, the kids, have problems in their life, whether it's a divorce, maybe their kids get sick, and they go to the well. They go to mom and dad, and they go to the bank of mom, the bank of dad, and that is the hardest part, which I find people, I'm going to help my kids. I'm going to help my kids. Well, the definition of help could be hurt in the long run. That's why it's so important. If you have a financial advisor, you definitely need to talk to them before you start doling out money to see how will it affect you. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be cautious, because the kids can really pull on your heartstrings, and maybe it's just for a couple issues they need to go through, like we've all been through. So again, there's another factor that comes out of the blue, and this is called the heartstring factor. The heartstrings is pulled, and you kind of want to help out the kids. Now, Alex, I don't know if you've gone out with out to dinner with people, and you find out who's going to pay the bill. It's amazing for me, Alex, when my kids want to go out for, here comes, whether it's Father's Day or whether it's my birthday, I'm always ending up paying. What's up with that deal?
You know what,
Alex, what do you do?
Well, my mom has no problem announcing right at the beginning we're going Dutch, that we're splitting the tab. So my mom has no problem laying it out there, right? We'll hang out. We're friends at this point. So it's not just coming over for dinner. We're going to meet somewhere, a bar, restaurant or something. And it's kind of known now we're splitting the tab. You just got to set that. You got to let them know up front, Scott.
Boy, you couldn't have said that better because I know I don't do it. And of course, my kids always expect it. And it's
Of course.
that's why it's so important to if people out there have got a challenge, Alex, they want to give our studios a call. I'd love to walk them through some of the factors, some of the unknown left hooks. Doing this business for as many years as I've been doing it, I've seen a lot of left hooks, and they're real, So if they want to give our studios a call off the air, I'd be happy to take a call at 609-488-4646. I'd love to be able to answer your questions if I can. If I can't, we have plenty of access and resources to call, whether it's our lawyers or our tax people. But again, 609-488-4646. Because Alex, as you said in the beginning of the show, what are the factors that show up? I say the ending factor, if you pass away, the crows and the clowns show up at the funeral, but it's before the funeral when it really could be challenging when it comes to retirement, and especially when people are, not saving as much right now or not putting it away. I think this is really important to sit down and have a come to Jesus meeting. I call it a one-on-one. Hey, let's find out where we stand and do this often.
And Scott, if people want a second opinion, how could they get a hold of you? Because I know that's something that's just so important.
I'd love to take phone calls, or if they'd like to, just say, Scott, I think we need to have a discussion. Can we have a discussion? Can we meet? Yeah, no cost, no obligation. I'll talk to anybody. I'd love to help people, whether it's off the air, on the phone, or it's in person. Obviously, our office is in Waretown, New Jersey, and right across the street from the lovely ShopRite and the old Dunkin' Donuts, which is down the street. But yeah, I mean, to have that really, really sincere discussion. I know people think, oh, yeah, they're sincere. He just wants to get something. No, it's about getting to know people. And if people have been to our office, I can tell you that they're going to get some information that they either can apply or at least think about applying. And there's no harm, no foul, no twisting of arms. They need to put a plan together, as you say, the Muhammad Ali uppercut, or the not being aware of another challenge down the road. Very important to talk about it.
And Scott's number again, if you want more information, if you have questions, 609-488-4646. Well, Social Security, Scott, you know this, it could be $1 million decision. So you got to get this right. More with Scott McLean on Financial Insanity coming up.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
Get all this stuff and you try to put it away like these hoarders on TV. It has an emotional attachment.
So, Scott, you're saying I don't have to keep every single drawing that my son has done? You're saying I could throw some of that away?
The answer is yes. You can take a picture, then throw it out.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
96% of Americans, 96, are taking Social Security at the wrong time. That means most of us losing out on an average of $111,000 over a lifetime. So, Scott, sounds like many of us are mismanaging this important benefit.
I don't know if it's mismanaging. I think it's not being informed, not being educated. I think that's where the challenge is in the industry, where the financial guy or gal or a salesperson wants to make a sale, not taking into three-legged stool, which is Social Security choices. versus the pension options versus the personal savings. And when I think about those different areas, I thinking about taking my kids to the Dunkin' Donuts, as well as in Dunkin' Donuts they have the ice cream. You ever been to a Dunkin' Donuts? They have ice cream.
No, I didn't. I haven't heard. We got to get that here in Kansas.
You don't have that? Well, you guys are missing out, because in Dunkin' Donuts they also have the Baskin Robbins ice cream.
Okay.
And the reason I brought that up, because when you bring a kid to the ice cream store, or giving them so many different choices, it's almost like a deer in headlights. They see these Baskin Robbins, they got 100 different flavors, and you say, I want them all. Well, I think about the Social Security, because there's 567 ways to claim Social Security. And I don't know if you know this, but the one way to maximize the lifetime benefits could cost you over $100,000 or more over one's lifetime by picking the second most favorable choice. Now, let me be real clear and help people understand this. It's not a cookie cutter solution. You just don't go to Baskin Robbins, get chocolate, because some of you might not like chocolate, or maybe you're allergic to ice cream and you just maybe just a donut. So by picking the right Social Security choice is not set it and forget it. And this is the biggest problem I've noticed in helping retirees pick their Social Security, walking through the different choices in Social Security. My goodness, that one mistake by not asking all the different questions. Do you have a disabled son or daughter? Are you taking care of your mom and dad? Do you want to retire early? Do you want to retire late? What kind of assets do you have? So picking Social Security could be a huge, huge mistake by not looking at all the options, Alex. I think this is a huge mistake. And I frankly, blame the financial guys and gals out there. If you've been to a financial advisor and they haven't looked at Social Security before you've chosen it and really analyzed it, you're missing out. This is why people give us a call at our studios and say, Scott, I'd like to have that discussion. Please, we need to have that discussion. You need to have a discussion. I don't need to have a discussion, but because I'm versed on this, and I'm pretty good at this, Alex, at 609-488-4646, write down your questions. Feel free to give our studios a call. Off the air, I'll talk to you, no cost, no harm, no foul. You're not going to get twisted. We're not going to get sold. I promise that. And in fact, I will just educate you on the different choices. But this is why, listen to me, they need to go to socialsecurity.gov and pull up their Social Security report. Now that's step one. Go to the Social Security, get my Social Security report. You can get it online 24/7, download it. This is important because Social Security is a huge, huge, huge part of planning for your retirement.
Well, and Scott, going to that site and pulling that up is important, but talk a little bit about why it's maybe not a good idea or even possible to reach out to the Social Security Administration if you're asking for, specific recommendations when it comes to your situation.
Well, that's a loadful. You could call Social Security, but they are not allowed to make recommendations. They're allowed to tell you the numbers. So that's a very important fact. You could call them. I don't want to deter anybody from calling.
Yeah, good point.
The challenge is making that final decision, because there's only one do-over. You pick Social Security, you only have 12 months as of the laws today in 2022 that allow you to, I call it the mulligan for those golfers out there. You can redo it, but you've got to do it within 1 year. Otherwise, you cannot redo it. So if you found out you made a mistake, if you're listening right now and you've just turned on Social Security, this is not an option, if I were you, to making sure you've got the best choice. Now, that being said, there's a lot of different choices. And so you definitely want to get that Social Security analysis. It's a unique software, Alex, really, really unique software, which they don't have. Now, the website at the Social Security offers is kind of good, but it doesn't dive into the most important details that everyone should look at before they choose Social Security. So again, go to Social Security, download your report, look at your report. There's a lot of mistakes in those reports, possibly. You want to make sure that there is no mistakes when you get those numbers. So get some help, at least before you turn Social Security on. And Alex, talking about Social Security, I don't know if you're thinking about this, but just the other day I was talking to a client and they were not a client, a person that came into one of our workshops. When they came into our workshop, I found out that the wife was disabled, but she still was working part-time, barely making it. She was in severe pain. And I was talking to her in my office. I said, in all fairness, you need to apply for Social Security disability. I don't deserve it. I don't want it. I don't want to go on there. I know people are getting it. They don't deserve it. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. We're talking about you. And in all fairness, based on what I'm looking at, based on the medications you told me you're taking, you need to apply for Social Security disability. She looked at me and she got a little teary-eyed, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry. I don't mean to step on your toes or get personal. No one's ever asked me that before. No one ever really forced me. I said, I'm not forcing you. I'm highly encouraging you to look into this benefit, because in her case, you could just see it. And then this is part of the questioning process of the Social Security analysis that everyone should be doing before they choose Social Security, Alex.
Well, and it's not like, she needed permission, but you're almost giving her permission at that point. You can do it. You're going to be fine. You deal with this all the time. You know what's wrong. You know what's right. You know what's available and who it's available for. So that's great advice. Scott McLean here, Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. And what are some common mistakes, Scott, people make, when it comes to taking Social Security?
I think it's looking at that easy money. For me, it's like my best friend started at 63. He turned it on. I am 63, almost 64. Luckily, I'm working. I love what I do. I don't think I ever want to stop working, but it's turning it on too soon when maybe they don't need to, or maybe thinking it's going to run out. Now, that's a good debate. I see the last report on Social Security, I think it was 2033, 34. They're saying that they're going to have to reduce Social Security unless Congress does something. So that's out there. But again, number one, turning it on. Number two, not really looking at, if you're married out there and you're about to go into retirement, it's looking at both the couple's Social Security benefits. Perhaps one should turn theirs on, the other shouldn't. Perhaps both of you all, if you're married, should turn it on. Perhaps you have a significant other, you're not married. Perhaps you guys talk about it. How much do you have in savings? But again, among the people, if you're married, what happens? Here's the problem. Listen carefully. Financial insanity. This is the problem. Let's say you plan your retirement, Alex, and your spouse and you plan on retiring. You're taking Social Security. But did you plan? Here's a big issue. Did you plan, which you probably didn't, on one of you passing? What happens if you lose that lump sum? In other words, Alex, if all of a sudden your lovely spouse is collecting Social Security and she's receiving, let's just say, $1,000 a month. Well, that's $12,000 a year. Imagine that coming out of your budget right off the bat. You know what $12,000 a year, Alex, equates to? In other words, if you had a pool of money and you lost $12,000 to replace $12,000 a year, do you know how much that pool needs to be, Alex?
Tell me.
$300,000 equates to $1,000 a month.
Yeah, over time.
Using the rule of 4, imagine not putting that in your plan. So that's another discussion when it comes to planning for retirement, looking at Social Security. When do you turn it on? Should you wait? Should you not wait? Everybody's not a cookie cutter. Let's wait till 70. I get a nice 8% increase every single year. Well, we'll time out, because everybody isn't the same. And I think this is where it's really important. You hear your friends and your relatives, your acquaintances, and they tell you what to do. But did they really ask more than when to take it? Did they ask about the lifestyle? And this is a big challenge when it comes to Social Security and choosing Social Security.
And Scott, it's just a part of your retirement income strategy. How does Social Security kind of fit in with the rest of the plan?
Fits in great. If you have Social Security, if you haven't paid in and have those 40 periods, well, it could be a great supplement. I liked using it as a great tool as part as your pension tool. The pension tool gives a lot of options. There's nothing worse I don't really like, although I do meet with people every single day, is when someone has a pension and they're about to choose the pension option, but they do it 1 or 2 months before they come in and say, Scott, we're going to retire. Which pension option should I choose? Oh my goodness, I wish you would have met with me 6 months before, because you could have had more options. This is where Social Security can be tiered up by maybe waiting for Social Security, using some of the different assets they have, IRAs, Roth IRAs, non-qualified, or let's say liquid money, joint money. How do you tier or put together and analyze where and how do you take money out of these buckets of money? Because I can tell you, seeing this, I'd love to meet people before they choose the pension plan, which ties in, Alex, it ties into Social Security and the options. And then again, the ugly question, what happens if either one of you, if you're married, either one of you pass away, what's going to happen? Let's say you're not married and you're living with a beautiful, significant friend or other, we'll call it. Well, if they're part of your life, this needs to be discussed between everybody. So this is important, of challenges of taking Social Security and tiering it with your pension or savings, IRA, and non-qualified money.
Yeah, it's a very important decision, and people are not alone. Scott, they can get a hold of you if they want to talk about this or get some more information, right?
We've been doing this now on WBNJ. We're a proud supporter of WBNJ for so many years. Why? Because they're an education workshop. We're education radio. And the reason why I've been working on this show, not to bolster WBNJ, and they've got nice, beautiful music, is because we're able to educate people on making sound decisions. And so they're welcome to give our studios a call at 609-488-4646. I'd love to talk to you off the air. Or frankly, if you decide, you say, Scott, you know what? I don't want to do it over the phone. I want to do it in person. We'll give our studios a call. They'll make it happen for anyone. No cost, no obligation. 609-488-4646. You will love my staff. I can guarantee you that.
Earlier you mentioned the ugly B word, budget. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about the ugly T word, taxes, because if some of your income in retirement will be coming from your retirement savings, well, guess what? You could get hit with the highest penalty in the tax code if you are not careful. More on this coming up.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646.
Investment advisory services are offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Retirement planning, investment planning is a two-way street. It's got to meet. I need to understand the good, bad, and ugly you've been through so we can avoid those issues. This, to me, is very important.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
Forbes says required minimum distributions can trigger the highest penalty in the tax code if you do not follow the rules. Well, you definitely don't want steep penalties and potentially higher taxes swiping away at your retirement savings, leaving you with the fraction of the money you were counting on for retirement. And it's a big deal, Scott.
It is. Penalties are worse.
Oh, yeah.
Those required minimum distributions, a critical issue. I remember we do taxes at our firm. I don't know if you understand this, Alex. We do tax returns for our financial clients. We charge a whole lot of money. It's like $110 for the state and federal tax return. And we built that. I built that in 2008 because of this, what you're saying right now, the unforeseen, unknown taxes. And so in doing taxes, George came in and his wife came into our office, our old office in Barnegat, New Jersey. And I'll never forget when, just a beautiful man, he was an engineer, guy's top of his game. And the older people, they dress mighty dapper. And he came in, he was 83 years old. And I met with them and Gloria. We did the tax. I said, well, why'd you come here? Well, we heard you on the radio and we just kind of wanted to come in and meet with you. And, my husband's used to do it all the time, and I'm just not sure if he's doing it right. She came in. They both came in the office. I'm meeting with them. Just a beautiful couple, sharp as a tack, and we're going through returns. After grabbing their 2 years of tax returns, I was able to look back and look at them and sent them on their own way as I was, got all the information ready to process it. I noticed in looking at the previous 2 years tax return, I noticed that the year before we met them, he didn't take any required minimum distributions, or I should say they, but the previous year to that year, let's just say it's 2010. I'm looking at 2011, and we're doing the taxes in 2012 to make it real simple. Well, the 2011, I didn't see any required minimum distribution. In 2010, I saw minimum distribution. So in 2012, now we're doing the tax returns for 2012. Again, he didn't take any required minimum distribution. So obviously, give him a call on the phone and said, let me see, do you have any IRAs or 401ks? Because I don't see anything in your statements. I don't see any of your returns. I don't see any brokerage statements. I said, we got to have all that. Bottom line, they had over $1.2 million in IRA money. Now, they had a 401k as well as IRAs. Why do I tell people this? When you're doing it yourself, sometimes the lights go dim. Sometimes you forget where you put the keys. Sometimes you can't see the milk behind the cookies. Well, it shouldn't be in that department anyway. Anyway, when I looked at the tax return and I'm looking at it, and I talked to the tax guy, I said, hey, guys, take a look at this. I found out that he had missed 2 RMDs. Now, if anybody knows what the penalty, I'll just give you a quick scenario. The penalty for that was over $28,000 in penalties for 1 year. He missed 2 years. And then I called and I spoke to his lovely wife, and she yelled at us. She said, well, what are you going to do about it? You caused the problem. I'm like, whoa, time out. I'm sorry. We're just following up with what we see.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget these small rules. Well, they came in and I asked, would you mind if you would bring your son in? And he was 58 years old. Nice guy. And I wanted him to be there as another sounding board because I don't think they were getting it. Bottom line is, not only did they miss 2 years, but he missed the past couple years tax returns, which means they got a huge, severe penalty. Well, the nice thing, what we did is after drilling down and talking to the son and giving him some options, here's what you can do. Pretty much, if people are not aware about the required minimum distributions, it is a critical tool of mistakes, a critical mistake tool, I should say. But by the way, we were able to write a letter. I got a copy of all his medical records. I got a copy of all his medications. And I was in the beginning of dementia, Alzheimer's. It was actually kicking in big time. Now, why do I tell that to people? You know what? Sometimes giants stand on the shoulders of other giants. Sometimes, you don't feel that well and lights are going dim. You need to go to somebody else. If requirement of distribution is critical. Now, Alex, I don't know if there's anybody out there right now and you do your own tax returns. That's fine. I'm not asking to do people's tax returns. That's the least I want to do. But I want to say the tax returns is a good MRI. It's a good EKG, which is why when we meet with financial clients or potential financial clients, I want to see the tax returns because it tells a story. And not only does it tell a story, Alex, but it tells me what happens as we spoke about in other segments of our show. We talk about Social Security. We talk about planning for retirement. Well, tax returns is a vital tool when it comes to planning for a retirement. And then, of course, the taxes. and taking the right deductions. So in this case here, we were able to write a letter to the IRS. We got a forgiveness. We took all the taxes out, and they forgave him 3 years of missed RMDs. And we were really blessed to get that taken care of. And she did understand, because her son, of course, related to her and her husband. So required minimum distributions. Alex, I don't know what President Obama did, but I'd like to pick on him for the good reason. Whether you like him or not, I'd like to talk about something very powerful. I wrote a paper, and it's a unique paper I called Give and Get More Back. Have you ever heard of that, Alex? Give and Get More Back?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Well, see, the scriptures talk about blessed is those who give. The scriptures love a cheerful giver. Well, how do you give and get more back? This is called the QCD, Qualified Charitable Deduction. In other words, if you go to a church or a synagogue, or maybe like the Popcorn Park Zoo here in New Jersey, you want to donate to your favorite zoo, or maybe Deborah Hospital, or Danny Thomas is the favorite St. Jude's, why not give your required minimum distribution if you don't need it, by the way? If you don't need it, why not donate the required minimum distribution from the IRA and have the IRA send a check directly to the charity? I remember writing a paper to our church. I go to Bayside Chapel up here in New Jersey, in Barnegat, New Jersey. And I wrote a letter. I said, here, give this to your people. So I said, don't tithe anymore. You should have seen the deacons and trustees. What? Yeah, don't tithe anymore. What I was meaning to say as I kept going is, why not do your tithe from your required minimum distribution and give and get more back? Because you don't pay tax on that qualified distribution.
Well, and that way
this is a big deal.
You can have your cake and eat it too, Scott.
Yeah, I totally. It's amazing, because when you see all the stimuluses and you want to pay attention to taxes, maybe you're taking care of your mom and dad out there, for families out there, their mom and dad's lights are going dim. You want to make sure, can you get all the deductions? So again, we spoke about charitable deductions. We talked about maybe and some people didn't get the rebates because they didn't do the tax returns correctly. Maybe they need to, if they're in retirement or heading into retirement, maybe put more money into your 401k, 403b. But we're talking about required minimum distributions. This comes from either your 401k, 403b, 457, which must be taken out individually, or from your IRAs. And there is a lot of loopholes people cannot mistakenly miss, because they're not going to forgive it that easy unless you have a lot of issues like George did. But this is important to pay attention to taxes, because that could really, really resonate with your wallet.
Financial Insanity, Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, I want to go back to something we mentioned earlier, and this was in regards to, having some challenges, some things come up in retirement that maybe you did not anticipate. And one thing that we can anticipate is that we're going to get older, Scott, but some of us, we're stubborn, right? And, we're active, and we're still getting up there in age, but gosh darn it, that's not holding us back from water skiing or riding horses or whatever it is that we may be doing. But Scott, there does come a point when you got to look at yourself and you got to be real. You got to say, when's the last time I went to the doctor? Or what that doctor said, maybe I should listen to. And Scott, I know that this is personal to you and something that you see often, but maybe just speak to that, challenges are going to come up and you're going to have to adjust, and that's all right.
There is challenges, and I'm probably like most men out there, and their wives are saying, you're stubborn. Well, yeah, you don't want to go to the doctor. You don't want to hear the bad news, or maybe you got an ache here, a pain there, and you put it aside, nothing gets worse. And then, which happened to myself, as I mentioned before, in 2012. I remember Daddy going to the hospital. My dad never was sick or never complained. I never knew it. I get a phone call from my mom, and she says, Scott, your father was walking from the restroom to his favorite chair, and he got winded. I say, yeah, Mom, big deal. Guys, he says, Scott, it's only 15 feet away. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. Thinking they were Jacksonville, Florida. Daddy died 7 days later. You know what? I don't know if he had leukemia back then. All I know is it just came up on him and wiped him out. Thank goodness I was there for my mama and my dad. And obviously when he passed away, we were able to take care of things. We don't know what we don't know. Is that right? We just don't know what we don't know. This is why planning is so important. This is why discussions, if you have a financial advisor, they need to be asking these questions. They need to be looking at your power of attorney, your living will, your health care directive, and your will, and maybe an asset, maybe your trust. And if you're a veteran out there or a spouse of a veteran, there are benefits out there. If you've gone to our website, 609-488-4646.com, go to our website. You'll see some unique tools for our veterans and their spouses that could be taking care of nursing care for totally free for those who qualify, depending on when you serve. But we help a lot of people. The challenge is, I think the same thing, Alex, applies to the financial and the legal, the taxes. Not paying attention to these three areas intimately, understanding on at least an annual basis, is you now are making friends with the three blind mice. One person may be good in their skills, but all three need to talk about you. And this is where the financial insanity gets off the rails, which is why I built our show many, many years ago.
And Scott, one more time for us today. Let people know if they want more information, if they want to learn about some of the stuff you've been talking today, want to seek some advice, some guidance, how can they get a hold of you?
I would love to speak to people off the air. You want to give us a call at our studios, 609-488-4646. Again, 609-488-4646. And if you simply go .com, that's our website. How simple is that? I like numbers, and numbers tell stories. And I would love to talk to you if I can be of help to anyone listening. I can tell you that the time we spend together will be well worthwhile, and there'll be no coercing or twisting of arms for me wanting to do business. Frankly, people love coming in and talking to us because they know they're not going to get bamboozled with trying to sales pitch, which is not our mentor, not our process.
To get answers to your questions, 609-488-4646. More Financial Insanity with Scott McLean coming up.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money, but do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At McLean Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call the McLean Advisory Group team today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. McLean Advisory Group, 609-488-4646. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Tax Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies are not associated entities.
I call it the chicken and the egg. The chicken is the investment. The egg is the dividend. And so when the chicken pops out the eggs, if you don't need the money, let's reinvest the eggs and buy more chickens.
Man, that's just an excellent analogy, Scott.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group.
It seems like nowadays everybody just goes to that cell phone, puts in the address, and then just stares at it, and it tells you exactly where to go. But I remember not that long ago traveling with my dad across the country, and he literally would pull out the map. Big old map. He'd roll through that thing. We'd be circling highways and making marks with pen, and we would get there, and it would be a lot of fun. Alex Dingman here, along with Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group, Financial Insanity. And maybe that sounds insane to some people nowadays, Scott, to be actually using a physical map instead of just that cell phone. But we're going to talk about that retirement roadmap today. And Scott, special guest with us. Exciting here. We have an advisor who works along with you and has been in the financial industry since 2009. George Costanis is with us as well. George, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this roadmap.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. And Scott, what kind of a traveler are you? Are you just using that cell phone now and just, really brainless about the whole activity at this point?
I am brainless. My wife and daughter always make fun of me because, Dad, why don't you remember where you're going? You're going to get Alzheimer's. You got to stop doing that, Dad. Quit using the Waze app. I said, well, it's very easy for me. And you couldn't have brought it up better, Alex, talking about using a map. I remember using a map myself when I went to Florida to college in Nyack, and the map's flipping upside down. It's blowing in the breeze. It's all over the map, and you make a wrong turn, you have to recalibrate everything you're doing again, and then you lose time, lose effort, lose energy. Then you're starting to maybe say some four-letter words you never said before, and you get upset. So, but again, by the time, like you said, a good fun retirement or a good fun road trip comes with bumps in the roads, maybe flat tire or getting lost, and there's nothing worse than getting lost. So, Alex, thanks for sharing us the Waze app. Many people are out there using the Waze app. Today, I wanted to talk about, Alex, you asked about a very important thing, which is why I brought George in as an advisor at our firm for such a long time. I call it the McWaze, the retirement McWaze. The Waze app, we'll call it McLean Waze, the McWaze, because retirement comes with a lot of challenges. I got a phone call this morning, and he said, Scotty, a guy named Ken goes to our church. He says, Scott, I just can't fill out this form to get my taxes reduced. And I said, Ken, why didn't you call us? That's, you're a tax client of ours. He said, well, I just did it myself. And how many people do things themselves, Alex? They try to do things themselves and they end up dorking it up.
Yeah.
Freaking out.
Sometimes it's hard to ask for help.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I called the McWays. When it comes to retirement, how can we not flip the map upside down, get detoured, tire flat? Because with retirement, it comes with a lot of decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to hear George as well. First, that phone number, if something resonates with you, if you need help with your roadmap, 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. And George, I know this is a great resource for folks, retirement roadmap. And talk to me a little bit about the idea here, because I know it's the kind of thing that's personal for each person that you would see that, needs help finding that direction.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And, when you're going on vacation and you have a roadmap, I mean, it sure is fun sometimes getting lost or sidetracked, as some of the things Scott pointed out. But when it comes to retiring and having that retirement roadmap, it is no fun getting lost or falling into a ditch. So that's kind of the idea behind the retirement roadmap. You don't want to get lost. You don't want to fall in a ditch. You're only going to do this once.
Absolutely. And that's where you guys can step in. Scott McLean, George Costanis with McLean Advisory Group, really helping guide people through retirement, because you said it right there. You can, have some detours when you're just having a nice leisure drive, but when it comes to retirement, you want to have that planning ahead of time. You know exactly where you're going. And that's where you guys can really step in to say, all right, here's the turns that need to be made. Here's the detour. Here's where there might be a construction zone, that kind of thing, so that you do not have those surprises.
Absolutely. And reducing stress, burning yourself out, having concerns, not knowing what you don't know, that's super important. So having a roadmap in front of you that outlines some of the biggest or greatest pitfalls or road bumps, then that's absolutely helpful.
I think it's also helpful, Alex, when your spouse, maybe it's the husband that does the planning or the wife does the planning. The challenge if you're listening to me right now and perhaps you're doing all the planning, but what if you get detoured, sick, disabled, Alzheimer's, dementia, your wheels fall off, you go see Jesus? One of those areas are going to possibly happen, and you're leaving your spouse to the unknown, and she doesn't know how to read the map. Perhaps she needs someone, or he needs someone, to help navigate this retirement, because retirement should be the golden years, but I hear a lot of times it's the rusty years. And if you don't have a retirement game plan or a map, it could get you totally totally off your game. So important to have that roadmap, as George said, because it's psychological. Do I retire? When do I retire? And they're always asking me, since I'm an old bat, I love what I do. The problem is, what are you going to do psychologically first so you don't burn out and be stressed out and then all of a sudden left hooks come, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's always good to make a checklist before you travel. What are some things that we need to be thinking about when it comes to this retirement roadmap? And we want to plan this out. We want to make sure that we can get there and have enough finances to make it through what we hope is to be a very long retirement. But what are some things we have to think about before
I'm going to have George go through that, Alex, real quick, because this is critical. And if you're out there listening, I'd like to get this in your hands. Even though we're trying to make this journey fun, if you get sidetracked, at least you can lean on those people like ourselves who can guide you through it. So this map George is going to give you, we're going to go over to another segment, Alex. We're going to drill down deeper. But I guess I want to have George, when we look at people, when you talk to people on a weekly basis, you probably see 5-10 people a week minimum on top of service clients. What are the biggest things people are failing, they shouldn't fail on, they need to get in their hands to plan the retirement?
There's something definitely out there called impact bias, which sometimes when something first happens to you, it seems bigger than it really is. So I personally think it's super critical to chunk this out and take smaller steps at it. And step one is definitely to take a good inventory of what you have first. And then also where you want to be. So step one, definitely take an inventory, everything you have. This could be pension statement, 401ks, social security statement, bank statements, a list of expenses. What do you want your retirement to look like? What's it going to cost? Take that inventory first. Absolutely critical. And then we can move on to the next steps.
When you take this inventory, Alex, when we meet with people, it's almost they bring one or two things with them, not everything. And I think they don't understand that you need a real good picture. You need the entire roadmap. Well, this is not the roadmap. This is putting the roadmap together. And by putting it together, just like George said, your pension statements, your 401k, your IRA, your social security statements, we cannot play wing it. This is not a wing it. This is no do-over. And hopefully if we have to try to, if you're in retirement right now and you need some guidance, or maybe you're saying, am I going to run out of money? Which is the number one discussion I hear so often. Am I going to run out of money? What's going to happen? Well, we need to, again, dive deeper. We've met so many people, Alex, who've come to our office and they didn't work with us. And that's fine, because we don't force people. We don't really try to beg or bug them, but we want to guide them. And so when they finally come back and they need someone to walk them through this psychological nightmare, am I going to run out of money? Is my spouse okay? Are my children okay? Can I leave something to them? These are the questions we're getting, Alex.
Yeah. And Scott, George, we just have a couple minutes left, but in those couple minutes, how can people get help with this retirement roadmap? What is that first step?
Well, first of all, is when do I want to retire? Do I want to retire? But the most important, who can I speak to ask about retirement? Who can I trust and feel? Which is why when people visit with us, Alex, just give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Visit with us, 609-488-4646. Ask for Bonnie. They can meet with George. They can meet with myself. Both of us highly qualified. But what I'm trying to tell you is when you understand when you're going to retire or think about retiring, these dates will change. You get nervous. You're not sure. Alex, I'd like to offer anyone who would like, no cost, no begging, no bugging. If you want a game plan, we're here for you. Come in. Let's have a discussion to see if we can benefit those of you who are making this huge decision, whether you're in retirement or about to go in retirement. Don't do this alone. Let's have a discussion. Why would you deny yourself the ability to get with someone who's done this for years? Give me a call off the air, 609-488-4646. Let me see if I can help you, guide you through this many journeys in your retirement. Start getting a plan together. Get this map laid out, Alex.
And talk to me a little bit here quickly about the benefit of having this roadmap. What does that do for folks to come in and fill this information out and really be able to have a better grasp on the future?
What a great question. Personally, I think the biggest part is that most people retire once, and they've never been through it. They don't know what the pitfalls are. They don't know what they don't know. Having this retirement roadmap is basically all the things that we have seen, all the issues that have come through, and it really puts together a lot of things that you possibly don't know, that you don't even know, that are headed at you in retirement. And it does a good job of covering some of those unknowns.
All right. Thank you, George. And again, that number, 609-488-4646. That number again, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website. This is Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman, alongside today Scott McLean and also George Costanis with McLean Advisory Group.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.